the Judge President of the Northern Cape and members of the judiciary, the former premiers of the Northern Cape, and all former MECs and MPLs. Can we give the former premiers, the former MECs and the MPLs a nice round of applause? Kan ons vir hulle 'n lekker hande klap gee. The way we do it in the Northern Cape. Ons is mos die Noord-Kapsters. En as ons hande klap gee, almal moet hoor. So kom ons gee vir hulle 'n lekker hande klap. Members of the National Assembly and National Council of Provinces. Ons sal nie weer burgemeesters het nie en raadslede wat ons nie ken nie en wat nie saam met ons mense werk nie. Our traditional leaders of political parties, ons was almal hier in Lerato Park. Inaugural het hier werk gedoen, Shadow Tlaule het ook werk gedoen en Dani Kotsie het ook werk gedoen hier. Voor onze verskillende politieke partye. Julle ken mos voor Honorable Inaugural, the leader of the opposition. En julle ken ook voor Cedric Tlaule, the leader of the EFF in the province. Julle ken ook voor Dani Kotsie, the leader of the Freedom Front Plus in the province. We were all here in Lerato Park to ask people to vote for our different parties. But today we are all here in Lerato Park to inform this community that change has come to Lerato Park. And that change is to improve the quality of lives of the people of Lerato Park. Veterans of the liberation struggle, I saw our veterans, they are around here. Faith-based leaders, ons het onze kerkleiers hier, wat saam met ons is. Maar ek is dankbaar voor die kerkleiers van die Noord-Kaap. Hier in die Noord-Kaap eet onze mense nie gras nie, hulle eet nie slange nie, hulle word nie gedoem nie. Because we've got faith leaders who love and care for their congregants. Wat nie laat die mense gras eet en vir hulle doem nie. Leadership and representatives from the alliance, the leadership of the party is here. The leadership of COSATU is here, and the leadership of the gigantic liberation movement, the African National Congress is here. I saw the provincial secretary and the provincial treasurer. Leadership of institutions supporting our constitutional democracy, Director General of the province, Advocate Justice Beke, and all government officials who are here. The head of the police, General Sivuri, distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen, and friends, the people of Lerato Park, and the people of the beautiful province of the Northern Cape. My special guest today is Mr. Alan Fasahi. Is Alan here? He should be here. Alan should be here. That's my special guest for today. I met him during the election campaign on my door-to-door trail. Mr. Fasahi is presently residing in a home of persons living with disabilities in Cassandra. He got divorced, slipped into drugs, and lost his employment. For the past 4 years, he is completely clean of drugs. For me, this is an incredible story of courage that led to victory over adversity. On behalf of the people of the Northern Cape, let me first take this opportunity to congratulate our President, Comrade Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa, on his elections and inauguration as the 5th President of South Africa. Even the worst pessimists agree that he is the best suited candidate and most capable leader to successfully tackle the current challenges confronting our country. His presidency is a great promise for South Africa. Speaker and Deputy Speaker, once again, let me thank the people of the Northern Cape for this rare privilege bestowed on me as the 5th Premier of this beautiful province of geographic contrast. I am deeply humbled by the enormous task before me, grateful for the trust you have bestowed on me, mindful of the sacrifices and courage borne by our forebears. I thank my predecessors, Comrade Sylvia, for her service to our province and wish to congratulate her in a new assignment as the Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces. I want to thank her for the cooperation and generosity she has shown throughout this transition. 4 Northern Capers have taken this oath as Premier of the province before me, and one of them is here, Mayor Dipuo Peters. I was told Hazel Jenkins is also here. I was told Comrade Mane Dipiko is also here. All of them worked very hard to make this province great. As we all understand, greatness is never a given. It must be earned through hard work and courage to change and discard things that do not work. This inaugural address is about hard work and courage, which we need today in our province. Hard work and courage are the 2 key values that will define the work and the attitude of this 6th administration. I commit here that I will be an activist Premier who will always be amongst the people. I will spend less time absorbed in the comforts of the office and dwelling under the shade of self-adulation. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, my biggest reward for this position of a Premier will be the happiness of the people of the Northern Cape, and particularly the poor and the downtrodden. Starting today, we must pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and begin again the work that Comrade Mani and his successors started to make our province great. Madam Speaker, I'm here to commit to this community and the people of the Northern Cape that this 6th administration will provide practical and outside-the-box responses to the vast developmental challenges confronting the province. In our hope to build a modern, growing, and successful province, we are angered by the living conditions of our people in Lerato Park and other similar areas in the province. However, this time around, we have the courage to ensure that things do not remain as they are. Madam Speaker, it is this courage to build a modern, growing, and successful province that I instructed the Premier's office and the Department of Public Works to sell the State House and direct the proceeds derived thereof to the Premier's Bursary Fund, so that we can educate, train, and retrain the youth of this province. I also instructed them to identify and sell all other non-strategic assets and direct those proceeds to the same fund. Madam Speaker, tomorrow I will be announcing the members of the new cabinet, which will be smaller based on the new reconfigured department. This announcement will not be followed by a shopping spree for new cars for MECs. Cars for MECs will be purchased on basis of absolute necessity and by the approval of the Premier. All unused monies budgeted for the new cars for MECs must be directed to the Department of Health to augment the budget to purchase ambulances. We can't, as elected leaders, continue to indulge in luxury, sedans, and SUVs whilst our sickly people are struggling to access ambulances. Our work as this sixth administration will be uncompromisingly people-centered, and we are going to cut the extra fat to the bone. We are not here for blue lights and self-indulgence. All MECs to be appointed to the sixth administration must understand that the opportunity to serve our people is an absolute honor and not a step ladder to riches and fame. We are not royalty, but ordinary and simple social and political activists. Not even a single one of the comrades I got elected with to this provincial legislature once informed me that he's a king or a queen. So your votes won't give them those status. They are not kings, they are not queens. These are simple social activists, and they should remain like that. This past Sunday, I was here in Lerato Park. I had an opportunity to meet few young people, all of whom were unemployed. Amongst them were 5 youngsters that have passed matric. It's Tebucho Michael Sandlana, Kevin Bernard Kok, Cordelia Pule, Cynthia Lorato Oliphant, and Boipilo Elizabeth Mabote. In the spirit of Tumamina and giving practical responses in building a modern, growing, and successful province, my office managed to secure 3 million rand, which will be used for vocational and artisanal training of all young people that did grade 12 here in Lerato Park. This afternoon, as we leave here, and tomorrow morning, together with a team of volunteers, I will be doing door-to-door here in Lerato Park. We are going to comb the area on Salty Plekam to identify all unemployed young people that did grade 12 and enroll all of them to training programs from July this year. And this program will be jointly managed by the Premier's Bursary Fund and NEDA. If you thought that door-to-door was for elections, this time around door-to-door is about improving the quality of lives of our people. Madam Speaker, in my acceptance speech, I rendered a prayer, asking God that through his love, he must forgive us for our selfishness and for our arrogance, that he must help us to be a light that shines bright in a dark place, and that he must help us to be a bridge for somebody in need. Today we have this inaugural address in one of the most underdeveloped communities in the Northern Cape, a community with great need and challenges for improved conditions of life. Here in Lerato Park, our people are confronted with major socio-economic challenges. These are indeed people in need that we as elected representatives are expected to be the bridge for them in their journey to better life. Again, as I have mentioned in my acceptance speech, that I took a decision to bring this special and auspicious event to Lerato Park for one purpose only: to drag everyone out of their comfort zone and come and experience how our people live. We are hosting this event here today to pay tribute to all the families in the province that are experiencing hardships of informal settlements. These are communities such as Snake Park and Ivory Coast here in Kimberley, Kandla in Pokwan, Promised Land, Obama Hills, and Tulima Tonsela in Kuruman, Sonderwater in Barkley West, and many more. My message to these communities is that as the Northern Cape government, we heard your cries, and as part of our program to build a modern, growing, and successful province, we are going to prioritize you. The priority of this government is people here in Lerato Park. It's people in the informal settlement. These 6 administrations exist only for one thing: the poorest of the poor, downtrodden masses who don't know where their next meal will come from. Hence, I have already put up a team to investigate and assist the provincial government in establishing a state-owned construction company that will implement some of our infrastructure program, particularly roads and RDP houses. We are going to build these RDP houses ourselves as government. We are going to build them ourselves. There is no company or a construction company that will come here and build houses. We will build these houses ourselves. I had a meeting with a team of HODs, and I asked them, how many houses did you manage to build from 1994? They said it's 68,000 houses. From the 68,000 houses, how many of them were built by government? Where we say this is a government contractor that built these houses. They say none. All of them is by private companies. So we enter into a chapter where we will build these houses ourselves as government. Madam Speaker, we must move very fast in our endeavors to de-tenderize this provincial government by increasing its planning, designing, and implementation capacity of our infrastructure projects. This will enable us to create more jobs, to curb corruption related to the state procurement processes. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, it is completely unacceptable that our departments cannot purchase basic necessities such as toilet papers and detergents from local stores, but must go through some form of a tender process. There will be dedicated work to ensure that we de-tenderize the state in our effort to cut costs of rendering services to our people. This issue of de-tenderizing the provincial government is very important because all the departments, with all the skills which are there, the energy which is there in the departments, I don't know whether you know that a department can't buy a toilet paper. Can't send somebody just to Pick and Pay and buy a toilet paper. They must appoint a contractor to go and buy a toilet paper for 12 rand, and that contractor sells the toilet paper to the department for 15 or 20 rand. Yes, and the department must pay VAT twice. You pay VAT at the retail point where you buy the toilet paper, at Pick and Pay or ShopRite or at any store, and when you get invoiced by the service provider, there's also tax that you must pay. That will come to an end. If the Premier's office can't buy a toilet paper, they must then give me the money to go to ShopRite Checkers and buy the toilet paper for the office. Or to go to Checkers or any other store to buy the toilet paper and bring it to the office. So our campaign to de-tenderize the state will be vigorously implemented. In our effort to de-tenderize the state, the provincial government, we will also investigate and introduce phased-in insourcing of some support functions such as security guards, gardening, catering, cleaning services, maintenance of state buildings. We must insource this. These security guards must work for government. They must work for government. The cleaning services, these people who are cleaning our departments must be on the payroll of the provincial government. The ones who are doing state maintenance of state buildings, they must be on the payroll of the provincial government. If anybody wants to tell me that that is impossible, I will then have to do it myself. We must use the employment opportunities derived from these support functions to create decent work for our people. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, work has already commenced to establish a war room to reduce unemployment in the province. And we are also about to establish the Northern Cape Growth and Investment Council, also to assist us with investment in the province. Both the War Room and the Investment Council will be chaired and convened by the Premier, and will, amongst others, be constituted by experts, labor, and business people. The office of the Premier is already seized with the work of drafting the terms of reference for both structures. For now, it suffices to mention that the primary focus of the Investment Council will be to ensure economic investment in the Northern Cape, particularly in Kimberley. I cannot allow the continuing degeneration and deterioration of Kimberley, the capital town of our province. Kimberley must grow and develop and be a trigger for growth for the whole province. So, we must develop Kimberley to serve as an epicenter of a modern, growing, and successful province. This starts with cleaning our city and encouraging our people not to litter. A re phepafatseng motse wa rona. Kom ons hou ons dorp skoon. Masigcine idolophu yethu icocekile. Our dream of a modern, growing and successful province is about bringing a spark to Kimberley. I have arranged a meeting between my office, the office of the executive mayor, all the members of the mayoral committee of Soplachi, and the executive management of Soplachi municipality to look into the development plans of this city. I want to repeat it. I cannot have our only city in the province collapsing and degenerating on our watch. All these approaches call on all of us to drastically change the way we do things. We need a major paradigm shift. Senior managers of this sixth administration must be innovative, hardworking, and be outside-the-box thinkers. If one cannot change and adapt, the best option is to ship out. There will be no top-down approach to rendering of services. Our communities must be engaged, not as a mere formality, but to genuinely get their inputs, to give practical meaning to our commitment for participatory democracy. In our work to create a modern economy to serve our people better, we must ensure that we use and manage state resources in a prudent manner that is consistent with the needs of the fourth industrial revolution. We need to develop a solid industrial base in the province which is based on mining and agriculture. Through our investment arm, which is NEDA, this sixth administration will vigorously pursue the possibilities of establishing a Northern Cape state mining company that will, on behalf of the people of the Northern Cape, do prospecting, make applications for mining licenses, and later galvanize investments. Ons moet ons eie mining company het as in World Cup. Moaning and whining about us in the province not deriving much substantive benefits from the vast mineral deposits will not change the fact that Northern Cape is viewed as an extraction center for raw products. We need to radically change this paradigm through the establishment of the Northern Cape Mining Company. Tourism economy is one sector we should vigorously pursue and ensure that we establish small, medium, and micro enterprises in this sector. In support of the SMMEs, the payment of invoices by government should be done promptly. This thing of not paying small businesses on time is killing small businesses, is killing job opportunities in the province. So government departments must pay small businesses on time. If I will sign any performance contract with an HOD, head of department, one of the key performance area, which will be a dismissible offense, is payment to small and medium enterprises on time. On time. And if they are not paid on time, you are going to lose your job. Whilst it is important to give support to all sporting codes, over the past years, the province has not benefited much from sports tourism. Whilst it is important to give support to all the sporting codes, we need to investigate and work towards having a premier soccer league team in the province. We want to have our own Sundowns here. We want to have our own Kaizer Chiefs. We want to have our own Pirates. And we must investigate that, and this provincial government must work towards that. This has a great potential to expose the province to the big fan base that is always prepared to follow their teams throughout the country. More importantly, is the fact that soccer is like staple diet in the Northern Cape. With each town, even the smallest, having a number of soccer teams. We should vigorously mobilize the private sector behind this objective. We should harness the rich local talent and create opportunities for young people. Madam Speaker, over the years, our municipalities have proved to be the weakest link in our chain for development and social transformation. We intend to convene a local government summit towards the end of this year with the express aim of addressing the challenges that confront our municipalities and chart a way forward in dealing with these. The challenges include the sustainability of municipalities, wrong billing by municipalities, implementation of indigenous program, improvement of service infrastructure, and the lack of technical capacity. Of great concern are municipalities that have not been spending grants allocated to them to address the social infrastructure backlogs, such as Municipal Infrastructure Grant, NEP, and NDPG. On this matter, I requested a report from the Department of Cooperative Governance, Human Settlement, and Traditional Affairs. There should be severe consequences for the failure to spend monies that are meant for development of our communities. This sixth administration will spare no energy and no effort to ensure that additional resources are mobilized towards the realization of the new urban agenda by our municipalities. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, we spend more than 60% of our provincial budget on the Department of Education and the Department of Health. I must be very frank to this honorable House that I'm not completely impressed with our performance on these two fronts. I'm not impressed with the performance of the Department of Education, and I am not impressed with the performance of the Department of Health. As an activist premier, I requested my office to purchase cheap office furniture to create a premier's walk corner at the reception area of the provincial office of the Department of Education and at the casualty at Robert Sobukwe Hospital Complex. From next week, I will move out of the comfort of the Premier's office and spend 1 or 2 days in a week working from the reception area in the Department of Education and the casualty area at Robert Sobukwe Hospital Complex. I won't be confined to the 6th floor there at the Premier's office. Whilst our education system is on a downward trajectory, I won't be confined to the 6th floor of the Premier's office, whilst people who goes to Robert Sobukwe Hospital Complex would sit there at casualties for 2 days before they can get attention. That will come to an end. So I can't sit at the 6th floor there in the Premier's office whilst one hospital, which is a major landmark in the province, can't even clean the curtains in the wards. So I will be having 3 offices now. Is the comfort office at the 6th floor, there at the Premier's office, and an office in the Department of Education, the reception area, and an office at the hospital at the casualty area. I will sit there and do my work as the Premier. I will sit there and do my work. I'm the executive authority of the Northern Cape, and nobody can tell me not to get in there. Despite the difficulties, we are going to get our education system on track and be amongst the best performing provinces in this country. We are going to get the education department on track. It will stop that we become the laughingstock of the country. Number 7 and celebrate that. You can't be number 7 in the country. It's totally unacceptable. We are going to improve the performance of the Department of Health and give dignity to our patients. My seriousness to build a modern, growing and successful province will be demonstrated tomorrow with the caliber of the MECs that will be appointed to these 2 departments. So tomorrow, I will be announcing MECs. That includes the MEC of Education and the MEC of Health. So whether I'm serious about changing these 2 departments, you'll have to look at the caliber of the 2 MECs that I will appoint. So it will be MECs with courage, norm breakers, astute, and hardworking. I don't want MECs at the Department of Health and Department of Education who will move in there and ask, how does this thing work? They must move in, break that thing, and make it work better. They must turn it on its head. Turn it on its head and make it work better. So these MECs will be norm breakers. They must break all norms because we need to ensure that there is better health care services for our vulnerable people in the Northern Cape and better schooling system for the children of the poorest of the poor. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to conclude my address with a beautiful poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson, which is titled Courage. Whatever course you decide upon, there is always someone to tell you that you are wrong. It is impossible. There will always be difficulties that will tempt you to believe your critics are right. To map out a course of action and follow it to the end requires of the same courage that a soldier needs. So, Madam Speaker, to all the people of the Northern Cape who are listening today, from the most beautiful urban centers to the poorest villages and informal settlements, know that today the courageous battle against the monster of poverty, unemployment, and inequality has begun. And I can assure you that this journey for a modern, growing, and successful province will not be one of shortcuts and settling for less. The scale of socio-economic challenges confronting this province scares me. However, the real hero is the man who fights courageously even though he is scared. We must, with courage, carefully carry this great gift of freedom and deliver it safely to the future generations. I thank you. God bless.
I'm quite happy with what the Premier has said here today. One of the highlights of what he has said is that he'll be prioritizing young people in the province, more especially in terms of education. We're quite excited, but if there's one thing we want to advise him to do is that he should incorporate more young people in these departments, because there are young people in his executive, there are young people as MPLs, but the face of the province is younger. It's younger than those that are there. So in all that he's going to do, he needs to incorporate young people as well. But above all, we're quite happy and we look forward to implementation, which is the most important thing.
For me, the highlight is those matriculants that are unemployed, that he will be doing a door-to-door tomorrow in earnest to make sure that he has a database of those unemployed community members of Lerato Park. I mean, you can see where we are. It's an informal settlement that needs to be developed. So by prioritizing the youth itself, it's actually prioritizing development.
We are also happy in the concentration of the Department of Health, especially KH. We hope and believe that indeed the Premier will stick to her promise in his speech where he said he's going to have an office at the KH. Indeed, that department and that institution, especially KH, needs more attention than before. Our people are struggling at the health sector. But we want also to concentrate at the Dr. ZK Matthews clinic or hospital in Bartley West. That's where we are sitting with most of the problems. And also we must also applaud him for going to education, having an office at the Department of Education. We need the school results to improve. But also he must look into the admission system. We need thoroughly to look into the admission system and ensure that parents within the Northern Cape and Kimberley get space for their children. But in terms of the economic side of it, I think our province is going to groom and more especially Kimberley. So we are welcoming him and we are going to work closely with him and will support him in everything that he's doing.